Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world and also when you will watch this video. In today's video, I'm going to share a part of a teaching by one of the most respected ministers of the word, Bishop Joseph Garlington. He touches on a lot of things, but the main thing there is about how to deal with shame. Now, shame is one of the most destructive things in the world or in a person's life, because something shameful that happened maybe even in early childhood can affect a person for the rest of their life if it is not dealt with. And it is difficult with shame to let go, because a person is also ashamed to share that thing that has brought them shame. So it's something that they have not shared, so it's bottled up inside, and it tends to control their every movement. So here, in the video that I'm going to share shortly, Bishop Joseph Garlington shares something interesting by quoting that whatever you bring to the light becomes light. So the moment you share it, that is the first step to healing. So I hope you are going to enjoy the message, and also the full message will be in the description. So please share, like, comment this video so that we can send, or rather this message can reach a lot more other people. Thank you.
And the Apostle Paul says, whatever you bring to the light becomes light. They found that out in AA. The moment you tell it, the enemy can't hurt you with it. The moment you expose it. And then here's the best part. David goes back home, and then Nathan hears God say, go tell David, I've got a gift for him. It's another baby. And his name isn't Solomon. That's the name you're going to give him. The name I'm giving him is Jedediah, the one who God loves. Are you ready for what God loves to give to you, or do you want to hang on for what you think is worth it? And if you're ready to let shame go, part of the problem with letting shame go is what people say, well, if I stand, they're going to know I have shame. But that becomes part of the process. God can heal. God's going to set free. Tonight, a healing service is going to take place. It's going to be a whole lot more than just physical healing. Waves of healing are going to touch in this place. I have 1 minute left on my watch. I think of healing like this. Someone says the human eye has the capacity to discern between 22,000 spectrums of color. My crayon box only had 8. Barbara's has 188. I say purple, she says plum. But what if the spectrum of the grace of God that moves through a place, it represented so many different colors, so many different shades of what God's doing. Over here, there's this incredibly blue thing that's moving in. And at some point, it all just looks like a rainbow. And you got to discern, where is my stuff in this spectrum? Where's healing taking place for me? Red over here, green over there, orange back there. Why? How do you know it's orange? Because that guy is jumping up and down. Well, it's an orange only? No, over here too. How about over there? Oh, that's kind of a deep green. Why? Because That guy's standing and he's catatonic. It looked like he hasn't moved in hours. Lewis says you can't see things unless you roughly know what they look like. So when I'm listening to him and to him and to him and to her, they're telling me about all these things that they've seen. And I say, yeah. And then I look back at moments when I saw the same thing and realized, I said, what in the heck is that? What in the fatal fire is that? Why are they doing all of that? Laughter, I thought, how ridiculous. How ridiculous. Stand. Don't stand yet. They were singing a song, So Step Into the River. And I had this sense, Randy, that I was supposed to do a prophetic action. So I was in this, well, right there is where you're sitting. And so the song says, so step into the river. And I said, okay, next time they say it, I'm going to do it. And so I stepped into the river. And I stepped in. And I felt like I'm obligated. I came back to my seat. In the corner of my eye, there was a guy way in the back of the congregation, and he was running full tilt straight down the aisle. And when he got to the break, pretty big break, he dove onto the floor and he started swimming. I'm telling you, and he was making progress. That was the ending. And I turned to the pastor who had invited me to come to this meeting with Rodney Howard Brown, where strange things happen anyway, if you're there. And I said to the guy next to me, he saw a whole lot more water than I did. And it's like, that's the funniest thing you've ever said. That's what I said. And I started laughing. And I couldn't stop. And I was like, and I ridiculed it, but now I'm a part of it. And I can't ridicule it because I'm now a part of it. And so now I've got to find a way to sanctify it and make it theologically sound. But you turn my morning into, you filled my mouth with laughter. It's biblical to laugh. But sometimes it's more biblical to cry first. Get it over with. Here's what Moses said in Genesis 7. When the fountains of the great deep were broken open, then the heavens were open. When deep things are struck, heaven says, it's time. And if you're here today and you don't have any issue with anybody thinking or even trying to imagine what could be her shame or his shame, you remember what Jesus said to Peter when he says, well, what about him? Jesus says, none of your business. It's none of your business what God is doing in my life. It's not between you and me and him. It's between him and me. You stand with your stuff in this room today, and I just simply say to you, you're going to set in motion a tidal wave of healing that has been wanting to break free in your life. And as you allow God to get you up off the ground and wash yourself and change your clothes and come into the presence of God, you can go home pregnant. Don't be afraid of that word. It doesn't always mean literal. And so just for the sake of the hymn, I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves, where my heart becomes free and my shame is undone. If you want your shame to be undone, maybe you're not even aware of it. Maybe it's been so long with you that you count it a friend and not an enemy. But if you sense in this moment, in this atmosphere, my shame can be undone once and forever, you make some effort to respond to that. Maybe you need to stand. Maybe you need to get on your knees. Whatever you need to do, you can respond. But I believe this is a God moment. And we're not going to ask anyone to pray for you because this is a Jesus moment. It's between you and Jesus. It's you saying to him, I refuse to bear in my life something you've already paid for. I refuse to carry something with me that you paid such a high price to set me free. Wherever that place is in your mind, in your memory, it was years later that I look back and realize that's when that happened. It was on the floor in Toronto that God set me free from things that had bound me for years. I wasn't free because I had never confessed them, because I had confessed them, but there was something still here that had tied me up, and I needed those things to be undone.